Welcome back, everyone. LanceScurv here, LanceScurvX.com, the Scurv podcast. Today, I want to talk about people who show too much, who talk too much, who show how smart they are, not knowing that in most cases, in today's world, that's not a good thing. The title of this piece is Why Smart People Should Stop Proving Themselves. The Cost of Showing Too Much. Most people grow up believing that if they work hard, tell the truth, and become knowledgeable, the world will reward them. We're taught that intelligence opens doors, honesty earns respect, and speaking facts will naturally attract admiration. It's a comforting belief because it promises that effort and wisdom always lead to success. But after enough years of living, many discover a painful reality. The world doesn't always reward intelligence. Sometimes it punishes it. If you've ever found yourself in conversations where people suddenly became defensive after you simply stated the obvious, then you've already experienced this truth. Maybe you weren't trying to embarrass anyone. Maybe you simply wanted to clarify a misunderstanding or share information that could help everyone involved. Yet instead of appreciation, you were met with cold looks, resentment, or even outright hostility. That's because many people don't hear truth with their ears. They hear it with their ego. When someone realizes they've been mistaken, many don't respond with gratitude. They respond with pride. Instead of examining their own thinking, they often attack the person who revealed the flaw in it. That's why so many intelligent people eventually learn that knowing the truth and sharing it are two completely different things. I've watched this pattern repeat itself over and over throughout my life. The loudest people often receive the most attention, but attention isn't the same as influence. The people constantly announcing how smart they are usually spend more time protecting their image than building real power. Meanwhile, those who quietly observe everything often understand far more than they ever reveal. Their strength isn't found in endless debate. It's found in patience. That's one of the greatest lessons anyone can learn. You don't have to prove your intelligence to everyone you meet. In fact, the moment you feel the need to constantly prove yourself, you've already handed someone else control over your emotions. Real confidence doesn't beg for recognition. It doesn't chase applause. It simply continues moving forward while everyone else is busy arguing over who deserves to be noticed. Many people confuse being correct with being successful. They believe winning every argument somehow improves their life. It doesn't. Winning an argument can easily cost you relationships, opportunities, peace of mind, and even your reputation. Sometimes the greatest victory comes from refusing to participate in a battle that never deserved your energy in the first place. Think about how often people argue today. Social media has become one giant arena where everyone feels obligated to defend every opinion. Every disagreement becomes a competition. Every conversation becomes a courtroom. Everyone wants to deliver the final blow that proves they're right. But after all the shouting ends, very few people have actually learned anything. That's because most arguments aren't really about facts. They're about identity. When someone ties their beliefs to their personal worth, correcting the belief feels like attacking the person. That's why logic often loses against emotion. Facts don't always defeat feelings because feelings protect the ego long before reason has a chance to speak. Understanding this changes everything. Instead of asking yourself whether you can win the conversation, you begin asking whether the conversation is worth having at all. Those are two completely different questions. One feeds your pride, the other protects your peace. There's enormous strength in allowing someone to believe they've won an argument that never mattered. That's not weakness, that's discipline. It's recognizing that your energy has value and shouldn't be wasted trying to convince people who have no interest in changing their minds. Too many people mistake silence for surrender. They assume that if someone doesn't respond immediately, they've been defeated. Nothing could be further from the truth. Silence often belongs to the person who has already measured the situation and decided that speaking would accomplish nothing at all. Silence gives you something noise never can. It gives you time. Time allows emotions to settle. Time reveals hidden motives. Time exposes deception. While everyone else rushes to react, the quiet observer gathers information that others completely overlook. That's why emotional control is one of the rarest forms of strength in today's world. Anyone can explode with anger. Anyone can fire off an emotional response. Anyone can interrupt, insult, or argue. Fools do that well. Very few people possess the discipline to remain calm while everyone around them loses control. When you stop reacting to every insult, every misunderstanding, and every attempt to provoke you, something remarkable begins to happen. People lose the ability to manipulate you. They can no longer predict your next move because you no longer dance to the rhythm of their emotions. That's when your silence becomes more than the absence of words. It becomes a statement. It tells the world that your emotions belong to you. It tells your critics they don't control your thinking. It tells your enemies they can't force you into making careless decisions. Most importantly, it reminds you that true strength begins with mastering yourself before trying to master anything else. One of the greatest advantages in life comes from simply paying attention. Most people reveal exactly who they are without even realizing it. Their fears appear in their complaints. Their insecurities appear in their anger. Their ambitions appear in the things they constantly brag about. Their weaknesses appear in the battles they keep choosing. The problem is that most people are too busy talking to notice any of it. When you're always trying to impress others, you're not observing them. You're performing for them. But when you become comfortable with listening more than speaking, you begin collecting information that can't be learned from books. You start understanding personalities, motivations, habits, and intentions long before anyone else notices them. That's why patience often defeats raw intelligence. Intelligence can identify a problem. Patience waits long enough to understand it completely before acting. Intelligence speaks quickly. Wisdom speaks at exactly the right moment. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn instead of an opportunity to perform. Every disagreement becomes a lesson instead of a competition. Every difficult person becomes a teacher showing you exactly how not to live. Once you understand this, you'll stop feeling the need to dominate every room you enter. You'll realize that the loudest voice rarely possesses the greatest influence. Real influence belongs to the person who understands people better than people understand themselves. And that's where genuine power quietly begins. Many people hear the phrase, "move in silence," and immediately think it means disappearing from the world. That's not what it means at all. Strategic invisibility isn't about becoming invisible. It's about refusing to expose every dream, every plan, every victory, and every move before it's time. Too many people announce what they're going to do long before they've laid the foundation to make it happen. They invite opinions from people who haven't built anything themselves. They collect criticism before they even take the first step. Then they wonder why their motivation slowly disappears. Every goal doesn't need an audience. Every blessing doesn't need a public announcement. Every opportunity doesn't need to be broadcast to people who secretly hope you fail. Sometimes the safest place for your vision is inside your own mind until it's strong enough to stand on its own. That's not fear, that's wisdom. There are people who smile in your face while quietly measuring your weaknesses. There are people who clap for you in public but question your worth in private. That's why discernment matters. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not everyone has earned the privilege of knowing where you're headed. The less unnecessary information you give away, the fewer weapons you hand to those who don't want to see you succeed. That's why silence becomes protection. It shields your focus without distraction. It protects your confidence from unnecessary criticism. It allows your ideas to mature before they're exposed to the opinions of people who may never understand your purpose in the first place. One of the biggest traps in modern life is the endless search for approval. People measure their worth by likes, comments, applause, compliments, and recognition. They feel successful only when someone else tells them that they are. That's a dangerous way to live because it places your happiness in someone else's hands. The moment your confidence depends on another person's opinion, you've surrendered control over your own life. Every compliment becomes addictive. Every criticism becomes devastating. Every disagreement feels like rejection. That's no way to build a strong mind. Real confidence grows differently. It develops in private. It's built during lonely mornings, difficult nights, painful failures, and quiet victories that no one else ever sees. It comes from keeping promises to yourself when nobody is watching. That's the kind of confidence no one can take away because it wasn't given to you by the crowd. People who constantly chase attention often become prisoners of it. They start changing who they are just to keep people interested. They begin performing instead of living. Before long, they don't even recognize the person staring back at them in the mirror because they've become a character designed to satisfy everyone except themselves. Never confuse popularity with purpose. Popularity comes and goes. Purpose remains. Applause fades. Character endures. Attention is temporary. Integrity lasts a lifetime. We're living in a world that celebrates speed. Everyone wants instant success, instant wealth, instant recognition, and instant answers. Patience has become almost old-fashioned. Yet the greatest accomplishments in life have never belonged to impatient people. Impatience creates careless decisions. It pushes people into bad relationships, bad business deals, unnecessary arguments, and emotional reactions they'll regret later. Patience, on the other hand, creates perspective. It allows you to see what emotional people completely miss. Think about how many problems solve themselves when you simply wait. Sometimes people expose their own dishonesty without your help. Sometimes your biggest critic eventually destroys their own credibility. Sometimes opportunities arrive because you refuse to rush into the wrong situation. That's why emotional discipline matters so much. Every reaction has a price. Every impulsive decision creates consequences. Every careless word spoken in anger has the power to live far longer than the emotion that produced it. Strong people don't react to everything. Because they understand that every battle demands a payment. They choose carefully which price is worth paying. They don't confuse movement with progress. Sometimes standing still for the right reason moves you farther ahead than running in the wrong direction. Nothing makes a person easier to manipulate than emotional instability. If someone knows exactly what buttons to push to make you angry, fearful, jealous, or defensive, they've already gained influence over your behavior. They don't need to control your hands because they've learned to control your emotions. That's why emotional discipline isn't weakness, it's freedom. Imagine walking into every room knowing that no insult can steal your peace. Imagine facing criticism without feeling the need to defend yourself. Imagine hearing lies about your character and refusing to abandon your purpose just to answer every accusation. Now that's real power. Too many people spend their lives reacting instead of directing. They're pulled from one emotional storm into another because they never stop long enough to ask themselves whether every situation deserves their attention. Your attention is valuable. Your peace is valuable. Your time is valuable. Stop giving those precious gifts away to people who've done nothing to deserve them. When you become emotionally grounded, people lose the ability to bait you into foolish decisions. They expect anger but receive calm. They expect panic but receive patience. They expect drama but receive silence. Eventually, they realize they're fighting someone who refuses to play the game. Predictable people are easy to manipulate because everyone knows exactly how they'll respond. Say the right words, and they'll explode. Offer enough praise, and they'll become loyal. Challenge their pride, and they'll lose all self-control. Don't become that person. The strongest position you can occupy is one where people can't easily read your next move. That doesn't mean becoming dishonest or deceptive. It means becoming disciplined enough that your emotions don't advertise your intentions. Observe before speaking. Listen before judging. Think before reacting. Learn before deciding. When you do this consistently, people begin underestimating you. They mistake your patience for weakness. They mistake your humility for insecurity. They mistake your silence for ignorance. Let them. Underestimation has defeated more opponents than intimidation ever could. People relax when they think they've already figured you out. That's when they expose themselves. That's when they reveal information they never intended to share. That's when patience quietly becomes your greatest advantage. There's something deeply freeing about no longer feeling obligated to prove yourself. You stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. You stop competing for attention. You stop measuring your worth through the opinions of strangers who don't even understand your mission. Instead, you become focused on building a life that speaks for itself. Your work becomes louder than your words. Your discipline becomes louder than your promises. Your consistency becomes louder than your excuses. People eventually notice results they once ignored. But by then, recognition is no longer your goal. You've learned that the greatest reward isn't being admired by the crowd. It's becoming someone who can sleep peaceably knowing you've remained true to your principles. That's a victory no applause can improve and no criticism can destroy. Life becomes much lighter when you stop carrying the burden of proving your intelligence to everyone around you. Not every misunderstanding requires a correction. Not every insult deserves an answer. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. The strongest people aren't always the loudest people. They're often the calmest. They understand that wisdom isn't measured by how many arguments they've won, but by how much unnecessary conflict they've avoided. Real intelligence isn't about speaking first. It's about knowing when silence protects your purpose. It's about recognizing that patience often accomplishes what force never could. It's about understanding that your greatest victories will usually happen long before anyone realizes you've already won. Never mistake restraint for weakness. It takes far more strength to master yourself than it does to overpower another person. Anyone can make noise. Very few people can maintain discipline when their emotions demand immediate action. As you continue walking your own path, remember that your greatest asset isn't simply that you know, it's knowing when to reveal it, when to protect it, and when to let your actions speak louder than your words. The world is full of people desperate to be noticed. Become the rare individual whose quiet confidence, steady discipline, and unwavering purpose make such a personal statement that no explanation is ever necessary. In the end, your legacy won't be measured by how many debates you've won or how many people applauded your intelligence. It'll be mastered by the peace you protected, the purpose you fulfilled, the wisdom you practiced, and the life you built while everyone else was distracted by the noise. Keep your eyes on your mission, guard your mind, choose your battles wisely, and remember that sometimes the most powerful move you'll ever make is the one nobody sees coming. That is how I live. I wanted to share that with you. As I get older on a chronological level, I do get wiser, but I see more. And it's so much more fascinating to me to go through every day interacting with people and observing them and learning about them through what they show me through their actions. It's like a puzzle. It's like a game every single day. And I get wiser in my discernment, and it makes every day a joy, whether there's negative energy coming at me or positive energy coming at me, because I know who I am even more so. And this is one of the joys of getting older. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not youthful in your spirit, but getting older gives you a perspective if you play it right. Because I will say there are a lot of old fools out here who have never learned. And I am just so thankful for the vast experiences that I've had hands-on with human nature. And this is why I love sharing it. And this is one of my things that I love to do, to talk about human nature and maybe share a few little things that I've learned. I don't know everything, but what little I've learned, I love sharing it. And I love the engagement here. Many people are attracted to the headlines, to the gossip columns, to what the so-called propped up celebrities are doing. That's noise. That's to keep you engaged. That's to keep you distracted. That's to keep you as a consumer and a follower and someone who's not effective with the energy that they're given that's very powerful by your creator in your own life. This stuff to some people might be boring. It's okay. It may not get as much hits. That's okay. I'm in my purpose, and if you rock with me and listen to this long, that means you're really into it, and I appreciate you, and you must understand that you are very rare, a very rare individual indeed. And those are the people that I like to vibe with and associate with, and we can hold hands symbolically and grow together. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you for spending your precious time here. I can never show you how much I appreciate enough. The only way I can show you my appreciation is to keep on going and to keep on creating content like this. Much love to you all. On to the next one. LanceScurv out.